Hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. I'm your host, Matt Harvey. I am also the founder of Deep Woods Paranormal. Today, we're lucky enough to have Bo Roberts on. He was an actor, and now he's a director. He's shot 17 films. Recently, he shot The Great Awakening, which is really awesome. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm looking forward to. So I just want to introduce him and let him kind of talk about his story a little bit and what got him into acting and go from there.
Hey Matt, thanks for having me. So what was the first question? Like was it how I got into acting?
What got you into acting? What pushed you in that direction?
Yeah, so I'm from the Midwest, so I moved down to Florida, and it turned into this situation of what to do for work, and in a very interesting twist, I was actually fully trained on being a door-to-door Kirby vacuum cleaner salesman, and I showed up for the first day of work, connected with a coworker, and said, "Hey, so from how it was explained to me, these people they want us to come to the house to do a demonstration and stuff like that. So it's not cold calling, right?" And the guy was like, "No, dude. They have no idea that you're showing up, so you're gonna have the door slammed in your face a lot." So I immediately took my gear, handed it back in, said thanks but no thanks, and went home and began talking to my girlfriend at the time, who her friends kept making comments about how I should become a model and stuff like that. And I was at that time, I'm like, no, I worked 3.5 years in law enforcement and used to compete in cage fighting to be prepared for that. I'm not into modeling, but selling vacuum cleaners door to door or being a print model, I'm like, all right, let's try this modeling thing out. So that's So that's what kind of pushed me to start, going out. And then it was very kind to me. I quickly turned into a big fish in a small pond in kind of the Tampa Bay, Orlando area, and then went from there down to South Beach, Miami. And as that really began building, I also began coming across acting auditions and parts in movies and stuff like that. And at the time, I thought, oh, I'm from the Midwest. Everybody thinks it would be cool to be in a movie. But now I actually have access to see how it is, what it's like. I'm doing kind of an adjacent job position to it. Modeling is not acting, but you do stand on camera and take direction. And I'm like, okay, it could be a doorway. So I kind of played around with it, showed up on a couple short film sets, and then somehow got a role in a feature film. And then I decided that's what I wanted to do based off of my interest in psychology. It was very introspective in a lot of ways. So I decided to pursue that full time and move to New York City to do that.
Awesome. Okay, so important question. Are you a Mets fan or a Yankee fan?
I would actually say neither, but I am that weird type of fan that I do enjoy watching the Yankees lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a Mets fan, so just had to ask.
Yeah,
I've loved them through all the crap they've been through, and now they're supposedly turning a corner here. We'll see what happens with them. The Yankees are doing amazing too, so...
Yeah.
All right, so you've been in 17 short films. Tell us a little bit about those. What was your favorite one? Stuff like that.
Gotcha. So I had actually made those short films. So it wasn't me on camera. Well, I made a cameo in a few of them, but as far as a favorite short film that I had made, there was one called Death Ballad, and I made that, and yeah, it was interesting. It was my interpretation of it. It's a story that I view as borderline folklore of the Craigslist killer, to where I've been hearing, stories periodically about, somebody met somebody off the Craigslist and wound up being killed and stuff. I haven't really come across, stories that, that's like a true crime type of story. but I definitely know the story of the Craigslist killer. So I kind of took that and ran with it, but fused it with music to where the gist of it is you have this person, she was trying to make it in Los Angeles, make her music dreams happen. That wasn't going right. She wound up getting involved in drugs and tricked out and turned into a prostitute, and just a really kind of a downward spiral lifestyle. And meanwhile, there's this kid in the picture watching all of it go down. And then that kid grows up and he turns into the Craigslist killer, and he's like recreating his mom's death over and over again. And he does it with very symbolic music to what's happening. So for me, it was interesting because most most movies I watch, it's more in the horror genre, and it's like if it's sci-fi and horror, it's all about what's hiding under the bed, what's lurking around the corner. If you don't have good music to build the tension, then it's going to fall pretty flat. So for me, having music properly done, that's a big part of it. So I yeah, I would say Death Ballad was it's definitely a short film that sticks out to me.
Nice. So, what's your favorite part of being a director?
My favorite part of being a director is the overall storytelling process. So just to change gears and talk about me being an actor, I love it for, again, how introspective it is. And, and it's fun doing an action movie and blowing stuff up and fight scenes and
Yeah.
stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm helping somebody else tell their story. Whereas as a director, now I'm either writing the script and coming up with it exactly how I want stuff to go, or I'm reading a script and making sense of creatively how I would tell the story. So for me, it's much more fulfilling process for me, at least on the creative aspect of it. So it's just like this project. Okay, the Color of Sin, I'm needing to rely heavily on set dressing and in-camera lighting changes because that's the best way to tell what's happening on the script. But maybe this project requires something completely different. So it's just, to me, it's fun. I view it as a game, really. Like you read the script and just try and make sense of the best way and the coolest way to tell the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you just shot, like I said before, you just shot a new movie back in 2021. It's called The Great Awakening. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Great Awakening, that is my first full length feature that I've shot and directed. I wouldn't really call it my directing debut because initially I was outright lying to people, and I inflated the budget and told them, I shot it for $5,000, but
Wow.
realistically, I shot it for 1,600. So, there's a very specific budget ceiling that I was dealing with. But even with that being said, and me and one other crew member on set for 3 weeks, it's now been distributed on Tubi TV, and it's currently being onboarded on Amazon Prime. So hopefully, a week, maybe we can have people watch it on Amazon. But what it is my COVID movie without it being a COVID movie. I made sense that a lot of people would make like a thriller dash horror movie about uh, catching the virus or the vaccine turning you into a monster or lockdown being mass enslavement of the human race, and just stuff that it's all very COVID related. But for me, I was more or less making sense of, okay, what does 2020 really mean to me? COVID is introduced, lockdown, and now all of a sudden we're going into lockdown, but not just us, it was the entire world. Like countries we never agree with on stuff, all of a sudden we're like, yeah, we need to go into lockdown on this. That the CIA released over 10,000 documents confirming interactions with UFOs, and that wasn't even trending on social media.
Hmm.
We had the Black Lives Matter movement, very turbulent election year. Murder hornets were on the news for whatever reason, and then they just kind of vanished, right? So
Yeah.
to me, it's like 2020 was just one curveball after another, and I had no idea what was coming next. So to summarize 2020 with one word, I would say uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
So uncertainty, that became my common thread. That would be my version of a COVID movie. So it's not directly about COVID. It's more about what that year represents, which to me is uncertainty. So the way the story was created, the way I shot it on set, the way it was stitched together in post, every bit of it, the intention is to make the viewer feel uncertain to where you know what's happening in the scene, but specific ways that I choose to let that scene play out, things don't really add up. And to anticipate what's coming next, I think I've done a pretty good job on making it almost impossible to know what's coming next. So it's forcing the viewer back that 2020 emotion of uncertainty.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 2020, 2021, 2019 were pretty scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
we never knew what was going to happen, and people were starting to, in my field, people were like, okay, when are the aliens coming? And
Uh,
stuff like that. And so, yeah.
yeah. There's a meme I love that say like Earth has become a place that when aliens fly by, they actually lock their doors.
Yeah. I've seen that one. No, you don't want to go there. That's the wrong
Yeah. Yeah.
planet. Oh my goodness. So you supposedly had a strange sighting. You don't know what it was. Can you describe that?
Oh, the one I mentioned in the
Right.
pre-show. Yeah, yeah, it was about 2 nights ago, 2 or 3 nights ago. I'm in Los Angeles, and right over Hollywood, um, up in the air, it looked like a very small, contained type of lightning strike. Like it would just get extremely bright, but it wasn't a lightning strike. The entire sky didn't light up. And I kept looking to try and see what was happening, and because on my balcony I have a straight shot to the Hollywood sign and all of that fun stuff, and I couldn't see anything in the sky that would make sense, of like, okay, where is this light coming from? And it happened about like 6 times, but it would do it like once every 2 minutes.
Hmm.
So like right when I would look away, that's when it would happen. And so then after the third time, I actually went onto the balcony and just stood there and just stared into the general direction. And then I saw the light, but I, squinted and couldn't see, like, is there like a helicopter with a strobe for whatever reason? Because you can watch the choppers fly by and they have like the blinking lights
Right.
so they can see each other in the sky. That didn't happen. So
Hmm.
who knows?
Yeah. No, I had a encounter in Orange County, kind of similar to yours. I was actually up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I just had my wisdom teeth out, went to the kitchen to grab some Tylenol, look out our little window, and I see this flashing light. And I'm like, what is that? It was like blue, green, yellow. I'm like, okay, it's just a helicopter or a plane. It was just sitting
Mhm.
there. So I went back to grabbing my medicine, sat down, and basically looked back out, and it started changing colors even faster. Blue, red, green, purple, orange at one point. And so, being a paranormal investigator, I grabbed my camera gear and my long lens and went out there and started recording with night vision and stuff like that. And I'm sure the neighbors loved it because I was out there and in my PJs out there focusing over this person's house. They're probably going, "What is this pervert doing?" But I
Thanks.
recorded this thing for, God, it was almost an hour, and it just kind of moved, and then it started having things come in and out of it, and then it would change shapes, and I got lots of pictures of it and stuff like that. And so yeah, everybody else pretty much knows the story if they've listened to our podcast before, but I posted it, stupidly posted it to Facebook and YouTube. Both were taken down within minutes of me posting that. So
Interesting.
yeah, I ended up getting my computer wiped as soon as I go to plug in my external hard drive, which had about 20 years worth of. Whoa, sorry, that's thunder.
That thunder? Wow.
We have a thunderstorm. Yes, I didn't realize it was in our area, so sorry about the barking dogs. My little
It's
yapper
all good.
loves the that. We have four of them.
It's a co-host.
Trying to see which ones are behind me here. So yeah, I mean, Orange County, Los Angeles County, that whole area, Sacramento, is a
Mhm.
hotspot for UFOs. They're usually seen over the LA Harbor and stuff like that too. So
Hmm.
we're out here in Texas. I've actually had a couple of strange sightings too. I actually saw what looked like a black triangle. It was massive. Take off from the airport right next to us. We're in a little small town. We're in College Station.
Yeah.
So essentially, this thing took off. Anyways, yeah, basically, I watched this thing take off, and it was like almost like a balloon. It just kind of slowly but surely moved, and then it stopped. I'm like, okay, it's a plane, and then it turned, and I could see the other side. So I was like, wow, it had different color lights on the sides, just a
Hmm.
couple of them, but it was massive, whatever it was. And then a plane took off, went right by it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not a plane. I don't know what it was. Anyways,
Yes.
so what are your future plans?
Future plans, assuming in filmmaking. So, kind of a career avenue I'm definitely wanting to explore more is, and thankfully Kentucky has done this, but I'm from the very bottom tip of Indiana, and we call it Kentuckiana. And so Kentucky currently has the largest film incentives in the entire country for filming. So I actually went there about 2 months ago and shot a 4 week feature. So yeah, future plans. I would love to have my filmmaking career. Of course, uh, Hollywood is where it's at. It's like the ability to have a filmmaking career outside of Los Angeles. That's something I'm definitely interested in as well. At least, dovetailing, like spend majority of time here, maybe a quarter of the year in Kentucky and just, shooting stuff like that. Yeah, I have about maybe 10 feature film scripts. I can grab about five of them right now and shoot them tomorrow if I want. Yeah, just, keep rocking and rolling. I'm not really too nailed down to any one thing because this business is very topsy turvy and like if you're just staring at this, then you're going to miss all of these chances to grow and develop and stuff like that. So for me, yeah, like directing, I have my next project that I'm currently working on, and that I mentioned it earlier. It's called The Color of Sin, and it's my modern day rendition of Dante's Inferno. But yeah, so and I'm currently on the first draft. Like I've been doing research for it now. I have the mood boards, I have the character breakdowns, and the synopsis, and the beat board. And now it's taking all of that, putting it onto the script. So that's where I'm at with it right now. So I would love to shoot that next year, but back to it, like I'm still open because I also work as a director of photography. Yeah, doing that and then doing camera op work on stuff. I've been a cam op on a couple Lionsgate movies, stuff like that. So it's just yeah, just gonna kind of keep going with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, my wife and I just started a production company, mainly for paranormal stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
we're shooting other stuff too. So that's awesome
Nice.
that you guys are that you're doing that, creating new content and stuff like that. Shh, 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 shh. I'm sorry. There's a lightning storm out there, and now it's just is it pouring? Yep, it's just starting to pour. So bear with
Nice.
me with the weather. The weather has decided to change on us. Yeah, definitely sounds like a cool career. Are you going to shoot anything else paranormal or anything in paranormal nature?
I would not be surprised if that comes up again because for me, horror movies that is my favorite genre, but it's not so much about the blood and gore. It's more about the horrific aspects. So, so when people watch The Great Awakening, the way a lot of people make sense of it is it's more of a sci-fi thriller with horror aspects. So, like if a viewer is not into horror movies, this is probably a C minus to a C on how scary it is. But to me, that the foundation of kind of the greater story that's being told, that's something that is it has a pretty horrific ending, although it's not blood and gore and monsters walking around with machetes. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So, what's your favorite horror movie?
oh, my favorite horror movie. I would say in recent years, I would go with Hereditary from A24. It has been a very long time since a new horror movie has come out that's really struck a nerve with me, and that movie struck a nerve with me to the point that I actually had a custom birthday cake made for me on my birthday, of course. But uh,
That's awesome.
but yeah, like it was a hereditary themed birthday cake. Yeah, so I definitely go with that. But for me, I love uh, watching, like all throughout the years how things keep changing. And it seems like back in the late '80s and early '90s, that's when you had a lot of these what like was it? Let's call it a opening the third eye genre of filmmaking came out, and so you had a lot of stuff like From Beyond that came out, and a bunch of movies similar to that. So that was always a fun genre to go through, and then just to kind of see, of course, the classics are fun from like Nightmare on Elm Street. That would actually be one franchise. Like if I had to pick one, I think I would like to do Nightmare on Elm Street the most, just because when people fall asleep and now all of a sudden they kind of wake up, but now they're dreaming, and watching them go from like their bedroom to the hallway to it slowly morphing into the Freddy's boiler room. That transition, that's actually something I would love to play with. It's something that is it's actually going to have notes of it in The Color of Sin, and it's just something I really love to take a crack on. So yeah, like Freddy as a franchise, Hereditary, but also just jump all around. And if a new one comes out, I'll check that out as well.
Nice. So if you could rewrite any horror story, not necessarily a movie, or you could turn like a book into a horror story that you direct, which one would you? What would you want to do?
I would definitely do one where I'm from, because growing up, we have the folklore of if you go to this cemetery is haunted, and you have the Tunnel Mill Bridge in Charlestown, Indiana. And growing up, it was the story that you're supposed to drive down Tunnel Mill, and at midnight you stop on the bridge and shut your car off, and often enough, like you try and turn the car back on and it won't start, and that's when you start hearing like something coming towards you, and yeah, it's the whole story. So to me, I would love to take all of the southern Indiana or Kentuckiana, ghost stories and folklore that people have grown up in that immediate area, and you know actually go to those locations and shoot something.
Nice. Well, if you're ever out there out here in Texas, let us know. We investigate all over Texas. There's lots of
For sure.
cool stories of ghosts and demons and activity. And where we're at, we had a lot of Indians, and they fought back and forth with the cavalry and stuff like that for a
Mm-hmm.
long period of time. My last name is Harvey, and it's so funny because just outside of our town is where the Harvey massacre happened, and it was
Jeez.
a mom, a dad, and a kid, and I think they had somebody else staying with them, maybe somebody who was helping them on the ranch, and the Indians
Mm-hmm.
basically came in and killed them all except for the mom. She escaped somehow and burned their property down, but it's called the Harvey massacre. So that would be kind of a cool one to maybe tell too, one of these days. We might even try and take that on. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, all right, Bo, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very
Thanks for
much for your
having me.
time. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so I just don't want this cut off in the middle of our conversation.
I
But
got you.
again, thank you so much for coming on. If there's
Mm-hmm.
anything else you want to tell us about your movie or upcoming plans, go ahead and tell us now.
Sure. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a final thought. Yeah, please go watch The Great Awakening. Again, it's available right now on Tubi, and by the time you see this, it might be available on Amazon Prime. It's currently being onboarded, but wherever you watch it, please find me on social media at Mr. Bo Roberts. Just type in MRBOR, and then autofill takes care of the rest. But tell me your thoughts on it. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? The ending of the movie, I explain what's happening, but in a very subtle way, so the ending is still left open ended enough to where it's open to interpretation, which is a big part of the overall message of the movie.
Yeah. Would you ever make a sequel of that movie?
It would be a very interesting sequel. Yeah, the storyline, I very much plan on it being kind of a one and done type thing, but there is actually a major franchise that I could see it working its way into, kind of being a co-op story combination on. But yeah,
Cool. Well, you guys need to go out and look for his new movie, The Great Awakening. He said it's available possibly on Amazon. Just do a Google search for it. I did. I was going to start watching it, but I ran out of time. I would have eaten into our movie time, our talk time here. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. Sorry about the thunderstorm coming in the middle of our conversation here.
all
Kind of
good.
fits with what we do. But, anyways,
Mhm.
all right, Bo. I appreciate your time, and we'll hopefully see you in the future.
For sure, man. Thanks.